What if I told you that the creature living in your backyard, or even the chicken in your KFC bucket, is actually a dinosaur? It sounds ridiculous. After all, when most people think of dinosaurs, they imagine giant monsters that vanished millions of years ago. Towering predators, massive horns, razor-sharp teeth. Creatures that ruled a world long before humans existed. Yet billions of people casually eat chicken every day without realizing they're eating the closest thing we have to a living dinosaur. But according to modern science, dinosaurs never completely disappeared. In fact, one of them might be pecking at the ground outside your window right now. Because chickens are dinosaurs. Not dinosaur relatives, not distant cousins. Dinosaurs. And the story of how scientists discovered this is one of the strangest discoveries in modern biology. For more than 160 million years, dinosaurs ruled the Earth. They were the undisputed kings of the planet. Some towered over forests like living skyscrapers. Others hunted in packs. Some had armor, horns, claws, or teeth the size of kitchen knives. If you could travel back in time and stand in their world, it would feel completely alien. Then, around 66 million years ago, everything changed. A massive asteroid slammed into Earth with unimaginable force. Forests burned. The skies filled with dust. Temperatures collapsed. Food chains broke apart. And according to everything we were taught, the dinosaurs went extinct. Every Tyrannosaurus, every Triceratops, every giant predator that once dominated the planet. Gone. At least that's the story most people know, but what if it isn't entirely true? What if dinosaurs never completely disappeared? What if one of them is still alive today? Not hidden in some lost jungle, not trapped beneath the ocean, but living right beside us. In fact, there's a good chance you've seen one recently. It may have been wandering through a farm, crossing a road, or pecking at the ground in somebody's backyard. Because according to modern science, chickens are dinosaurs. For a long time, nobody suspected it. If you had asked a scientist 100 years ago whether birds came from dinosaurs, most would have laughed at the idea. Birds seemed far too different. Dinosaurs were giant reptiles. Birds were small creatures covered in feathers. One group looked terrifying. The other looked like something you'd find stealing crumbs from a picnic. There didn't seem to be any connection. Then the fossils started appearing. And they began telling a completely different story. In the late 20th century, paleontologists started uncovering remarkable fossils in places like China. At first glance, they looked like ordinary dinosaurs. But there was something unusual about them. Surrounding their bodies were faint impressions preserved in stone. Not scales, not skin, feathers. Suddenly, the image of dinosaurs as giant scaly monsters began to crack. Scientists discovered dinosaur after dinosaur showing evidence of feathers. Some had fuzzy coats, others had complex feather structures similar to those seen in modern birds. The more fossils researchers found, the stranger the picture became. It wasn't just feathers. Many of these dinosaurs possessed features that looked surprisingly familiar. They had hollow bones. They laid eggs. They had wishbones. Their legs bent in ways similar to modern birds. Some even appeared to sleep with their heads tucked beneath their arms, just like birds do today. Every new discovery seemed to blur the line between bird and dinosaur. And then scientists realized something shocking. Birds weren't merely related to dinosaurs. Birds were the descendants of dinosaurs that survived. Imagine that for a moment. While giant dinosaurs vanished from the earth, one branch of the dinosaur family tree endured. Over millions of years, those survivors evolved into the birds we see today. But the surprises didn't stop there. Because one of the closest dinosaur connections isn't found in eagles or hawks. It's found in chickens. That sounds ridiculous. After all, chickens don't exactly look terrifying. They're small. They cluck. They spend much of their day scratching dirt. And for most people, they're more likely to end up on a dinner plate than in a museum exhibit. Nobody sees a chicken and thinks, that looks like a prehistoric predator. But look closer, much closer. Start with their feet. A chicken's legs are covered in scales. Its feet have 3 forward-facing toes. The structure is remarkably similar to the footprints left behind by many theropod dinosaurs millions of years ago. Now watch the way a chicken walks. The head bobs forward. The body stays balanced over powerful legs. The movements seem oddly familiar. Then imagine removing every feather. Suddenly, the resemblance becomes much harder to ignore. Without feathers, many birds look surprisingly reptilian. Their bodies reveal features that have been hidden beneath feathers all along. And nowhere is that connection more fascinating than when we compare chickens to one of the most famous dinosaurs ever discovered, Tyrannosaurus rex. At first, the idea sounds absurd. How could a farm animal possibly be connected to one of the largest predators in history? But evolution works in ways that often seem unbelievable. Humans share a common ancestor with chimpanzees. Whales evolved from land mammals, and chickens belong to the same broad dinosaur lineage as T-Rex. Scientists have even found molecular evidence supporting this relationship. In one remarkable study, researchers recovered preserved proteins from a T-Rex fossil. When those proteins were compared with the living animals, some of the closest matches were found in birds, including chickens. Think about how extraordinary that is. A creature that lived tens of millions of years ago still shares biological connections with animals walking around today. But perhaps the strangest part is that dinosaurs may have been far more bird-like than we ever imagined. Popular movies often portray dinosaurs as giant reptiles covered in rough scales. Yet many scientists now believe that numerous dinosaur species were covered in feathers. Some may have displayed colorful patterns. Some may have used feathers to attract mates. Others may have used them for warmth. In fact, if you traveled back in time hoping to see movie monsters, you might instead find yourself surrounded by giant feathered animals. Reality is often stranger than fiction, and there may be another clue hiding inside every chicken alive today. Its DNA scientists studying bird embryos have made fascinating discoveries. During development, chickens sometimes reveal traces of ancient traits hidden deep within their genetic code. Features that resemble characteristics seen in their dinosaur ancestors. This doesn't mean chickens are turning back into dinosaurs, but it does reveal something extraordinary. The blueprint never completely disappeared. Pieces of ancient dinosaur biology still exist within modern birds. Like old instructions stored deep inside a massive library, most of those instructions are no longer used. But they were never fully erased. And that raises an incredible question. What actually happened when the asteroid struck? Why did some dinosaurs die while others survived? The answer may have come down to size. The asteroid created one of the worst extinction events in Earth's history. Large animals struggled to find food. Entire ecosystems collapsed. But some smaller feathered dinosaurs had advantages. They needed less food. They could adapt more quickly. And some may have been able to fly or glide between shrinking habitats. While their larger relatives disappeared, these survivors endured. Generation after generation, they adapted to a changing world. Millions of years passed. The surviving dinosaurs diversified. Some evolved into birds capable of crossing oceans. Others became specialized hunters. Some learned to mimic sounds. Some learned to swim. Some became flightless. And eventually, one branch gave rise to chickens. Today, there are billions of birds living across Earth. Together, they represent the last surviving dinosaurs, which means the age of dinosaurs never truly ended. It simply became so familiar that we stopped noticing it. Every morning, dinosaurs sing outside our windows, they gather on power lines, they soar above mountains, they nest on rooftops, and they wander through farms around the world. The descendants of creatures that once survived an extinction event so catastrophic that it reshaped life on Earth. And maybe that's why this story is so fascinating, because when most people think of dinosaurs, they imagine a lost world, a world that vanished forever. But that's not entirely true. The story never really ended. It continued, quietly, for millions of years, hidden beneath feathers, hidden behind beaks, hidden inside animals so common that we rarely stop to look at them. So the next time you see a chicken scratching at the dirt, pause for a second. Look at its feet. Look at its eyes. Look at the way it moves. Because you're not just looking at a farm animal. You're looking at the survivor of an ancient dynasty. A living descendant of creatures that once ruled the earth. A reminder that extinction is not always the end of a story. Sometimes it's the beginning of a new one.